The Square Ball Podcast.
Hello there. Quick heads up that in this episode we discuss suicide. It's not the whole content of the episode, it's just a part of it. There is plenty of lighter stuff too, stuff we can laugh at, but it does feature. So I do hope you stick with us and you will listen to it or watch it, because we're going to have a little chat about mental health in this one as well. It's something every single one of us has to manage every moment of every day. So we'd appreciate it if you did stick around and join us for this one.
It does also feature a Newcastle fan, which we should warn.
Yeah, absolutely. Big trigger warning on that one. But it's with good reason, and you will understand why when you hear from or watch today's guest, Nav. And the reason why we're doing this is because we want to do a little bit of good with our platform, I think, to try and talk about mental health and the stigmas around it, not in a preachy way or anything like that. Just to destigmatize the discussion around mental health, really, because we've still probably got a long way to go.
And to raise some money.
Well, that is why we're here. Yeah, GarySpeedWalk.com. We do understand, though, totally, if you decide that this one is not for you. But if you don't stay with us, please do go to GarySpeedWalk.com. And if you can spare a couple of quid just to chuck into the pot, if you can afford it, yeah, we'd really appreciate it. Once again, that's GarySpeedWalk.com. And with that said, on with the show. Well, hiya and welcome to the show. We're into the summer months, and what better way to pass the time than to push your body to breaking point in the name of a good cause. Our guest today, Nav, works at Levi Solicitors. Where else? Who else would be bringing you this show? It's a very prestigious honour to be sat in a room with two great legal minds, such as
very much so,
such as yours. I mean, Nav, you're the first guest we've actually had from Levi Solicitors. So, do you want to do the honours on behalf of Michael, or do you trust him to do this, Michael?
I trust Michael to.
What do you do?
I do conveyancing.
Yes, I know that one.
I know that one.
Yeah,
explain to Nav what he does for his job then.
Oh, I don't need to tell him. He buys properties and stuff, sorts it out for people.
Yeah.
There you go. That's the gist.
What else do they do?
Wills.
Yeah.
Probate.
Yeah.
Commercial dispute resolution.
Lasting powers of attorney.
Lasting powers of attorney.
And you can get the discount as well, 10% discount on your legal fees. Basically, chipping away at Nav's wages, effectively.
People may think we are about to do a legal podcast here, to be clear. We are not.
No,
it's not. No.
We're absolutely not. No. LeviSolicitors.co.uk/the square ball for your 10% discount. There'll be a link in the episode description as well. So, yeah, you work at Levi Solicitors. You are a Newcastle fan, but we won't hold that against you too much.
Yeah.
I think after we've got to know you over the last few years, we like him. I think it's fair to say
it's fine. It's fine. He's an apologist for the Saudi regime, as far as I'm concerned.
But you've been along on the charity walks that we've done. The first of which was our Gary Speed charity walks. First of which was in 2022, which for anybody who's not been keeping up, was over 100 of us walked 92 miles. It was from Gary Speed's first playing field in North Wales, nipped quickly back across the border, and then back to Ellen Road. Bit of a trek.
Took a while.
Yeah.
Quite painful.
Yeah. So what else do you do?
Did it again?
Do it again, yeah. 2023, although Nav, you sat that one out.
I unfortunately sat that one out, yeah.
What was your excuse on that one?
I went to my mate's stag, and unfortunately wore a new pair of shoes, very slippy. You know, when you get a new pair of shoes, very slippy. And fell down some stairs.
And what was
brought my back, basically, to quote Mike Tyson.
Was you coccyx? Did you break? Nice. Not pleasant, I imagine.
Not pleasant.
Yeah, you've got a lot in common because you've got a poorly back, Michael.
Yeah.
You sent your cousin to do it instead, though, didn't you?
So I sent a replacement. So
fair enough.
He did very well.
Right, so that was the second one, was in 2023. That was another 92 miles from Goodison Park, home of Everton, back to Ellen Road. Over 100 of us doing that. That was fun, wasn't it? Do you remember passing the man in the bathroom on the outskirts of Liverpool?
Sadly, I missed him. Didn't witness it. Was he?
I will just say this.
Was he wiping in a window?
I will just say, just be glad that there was frosted glass.
Okay.
Right, and it was a good job that you missed this one. Now, so we're doing it again. Monday, the 9th of June, which is next Monday at the time of recording. It's going to be a mammoth trek. It's 120 miles, 121 actually, according to your literature, Michael, from St James's Park, home of Newcastle United.
Yeah,
back to Ellen Road again. So that's a long way, isn't it? That's like 4 3/4 marathons.
Yeah, we did got an extra day though. Mm-hmm. Admittedly, it's almost a marathon a day, but it's only walking, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, now you've got a 2.5-year-old, which you didn't have, obviously, at the time of the first walk.
Nope.
So slightly framed differently in the sense that, you know, you're going out of the house. Is this a week-long holiday for you is what I'm asking?
If my wife is watching, then no, it's not.
If she's not, then
Yeah, essentially.
A bit of a break. But there's lots of good reasons for doing this. Lots of questions about it, I suppose, because we've told you the where and what we'll be doing. Let's get into the why, because I think it matters a great deal, and the how. And I think there's, when you think about a bunch of middle-aged people trotting down A roads, hobbling in many ways, it actually gets pretty funny. It's a bit like a giant school trip, but we'll get into all that. So the why, first of all, is Gary Speed.
Yep.
Died by suicide in 2011, which I think is fair to say shocked so many of us to the core. The football world, he'd been on Match of the Day just the day before he passed, and male mental health and I think suicide was thrust into the public arena as a result of what happened there. And I mean, can you remember that day of waking up to find out that Gary had gone on that Sunday?
Yeah, I do remember that. And actually going back to it, I do remember I went to St James's Park. There was a game, Leeds United versus Newcastle, back in 2013, I believe. And that was, I think, 2 years after Gary Speed had passed away. And I remember 11th minute, both the Leeds United fans and Newcastle fans all stood up for Gary Speed, chanted his name at the 11th minute for 1 minute. But then the Leeds United fans just carried on.
Yeah.
And I think they chanted for a full 11 minutes for Gary Speed. And I just remember that it was a big loss. And especially because he was affected, like I say, played for Newcastle, played for Leeds as well. But yeah.
It was tragic. And
yeah.
The 11 minutes thing reminds me of the first game after it happened, when we were away at Forest, and it was singing for 11 minutes on 11 minutes, and we scored at the end of it, and it was just such a strangely emotional outpouring for what was essentially probably a meaningless goal, because I think we were in our phase of not doing much. But it meant such a huge amount. It's one of the most meaningless but memorable Leeds goals I think I've probably ever encountered.
So yeah, on the 10-year anniversary, 2021, we swung a plan into action, really, to try and do something good with, I think, this platform. We understand we've got a bit of a platform. I think there's always a bit of guilt on our part that we get to do this for a living these days. And it's like, can we contribute something good back into the world that actually genuinely means something? And I think with the stars aligning as well, in terms of 2022 being 30 years on from the title win. So it took us a year to kind of plan the thing, didn't it? Swung it into action for the following year, 30 years on from the title win, of which Gary Speed was a huge part, the class of 92. And it turned out that, I think when we started looking at the maps, it was like, oh, that's about 92 miles.
We can make it 92.
Yeah. With a few little detours along the way. So yeah, that was the idea. We just wanted to do something good, and
I just wanted to go to Oldham
and try and raise some money. Where did the first walk go through? I have lost track because we've done quite a few.
It was Warrington, Oldham, Huddersfield were the overnighters.
What a tour.
Glamorous.
Stick that on a band
spots.
t-shirt.
Yeah. The Welcome to Warrington sign.
Yeah, there was
15 miles away from Warrington.
Yeah. What you realise is that distances in cars and cities in cars are vastly different to when you're walking in on foot, because I think we all thought on that day, because it was a 27-mile day, wasn't it?
It was a long day the first day, yeah.
Yeah, and there'd been not long before that, there'd been a real downpouring.
Yes.
It was absolutely chucking it down, so I think that was quite demoralising.
Then you get the lift of, welcome to Warrington.
We're nearly there.
We're nearly there.
We weren't, were we?
We weren't, no.
No, we weren't. So yeah, we wanted to do something good with it. This is where Andy's Man Club comes in. We raised money as well for the Samaritans in year one. But Andy's Man Club is a male suicide prevention charity, which started in Halifax when Andy Roberts died by suicide, aged 23. And it was started in Andy's name because his family thought he would still be here if he had something like a resource like Andy's Man Club to go to. And Andy's Man Club, they meet every Monday in places right across the country. You can find out on their website. It's andysmanclub.com, I think, or if not, it's .co.uk. The nearest session to you if you want to go along and check it out. But they meet between 7 and 9 every Monday, apart from bank holidays and Christmas, and just go in there and have a chat, basically.
It's free. There's a free cup of tea. And it's in accessible venues as well. I know, like the one in Pontefract, for example, is at Pontefract Collieries Football Club. They're in like just a room somewhere. It's not an intimidating setting for people.
Yeah, and I think as we're going to say at the top of this podcast as well, it's about destigmatizing it and normalizing it and making these venues that normal blokes can just walk into and sit down and take part. And to my shame as well, I'd never been to an Andy's Man Club session until we did, was it year 1 or year 2 of the walk? I think it might have been year 2. I was like, I need to go check this out because I need to find out what it is specifically that we're supporting. And I found it one of the most profoundly affecting experiences of my whole life. Truth be told, have you ever been to one?
I've not been to one, and I think that's partly because of what's happened in my life. It's just, I feel like, I don't know. It just feels a little bit. I mean, I advocate it. Definitely, I think they're doing a brilliant job, and people should go. But I've not been yet. But it is on my to-do list to go to one. Which
actually brings us on to the next point, which is that so Levi Solicitors are helping support us on this one, sponsoring this walk. We'll mention some of the other people who are helping us as well along the way. But as part of our link up with Levi's, we offered you guys some places to come along on the walk, and you signed up, which I suppose is where I hand over to you now and say, why did you sign up? What was it about this that you wanted to step up and do?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, I work at Levi Solicitors, and we got an email, I believe it was around April 2022. I think it was maybe a month before.
Sounds like Michael's planning.
Yeah, it was a month.
It's a lot to organise, come on.
It was a month before the actual walk, and we got an email from our then managing director, basically saying the Square Ball, who we obviously sponsor, are doing a charity walk in the name of Gary Speed, in the name of Andy's Man's Club, and it was due to take part in a month's time. So the reason I joined was 7 months before that, I unfortunately lost my brother. He was called Taron, and he unfortunately took his own life at the age of 26. So that period of my time, I was in a very low place myself, kind of not having any meaning, not thinking, not knowing what to do. And as soon as I actually got that email, I thought, it's like what you said earlier, when the stars aligned, it made sense at that point. It was for Gary Speed, who took his own life, unfortunately. It was for Andy's Man Club, who we as a family had actually also raised money before in the name of my brother. So that was the reason that I wanted to take part, to do it in my brother's name, and really give myself a bit of a purpose as well, because at that point, it was 7 months after my brother had passed away. I put on quite a lot of weight, not really eating well, not exercising, and it just gave me something to work towards. And I thought, you know what? Yeah, this is something I want to be a part of and definitely want to do.
Can you tell us a bit about Taron then?
Yeah, so as I said, he was 26 years old, brilliant guy, really good looking, funny. And you would have heard the same story, like life and soul of the party, and the last person you would think that would do something like that. So he was a young lad, very, very clever, qualified gas safe engineer, did all his training in London and just moved back to Leeds, maybe the year before during COVID time. So it wasn't a great time for him to really come back. But again, yeah, he had the world at his feet. He had everything going for him. Smart lad, good looking, had a girlfriend, just everything.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, I think external stuff and social media and just a lot of pressure that we do have as men, to provide or to make money or whatever. Unfortunately, he could see it and he got depression, and kind of spiraled a little bit, and which led to him unfortunately taking his own life.
And what sort of an impact does that have on you as a brother, as a family? Obviously, it's devastating, but can you even verbalize it?
It's devastating. Like I said, absolutely devastating. It's we have to pick up the pieces afterwards, and I think that's what a lot of people don't realise. It's the after effect. It's what we do afterwards. Even stuff like sorting out his bank accounts we didn't even know about, credit cards, that sort of stuff. And it's awful. He was the youngest of us all. My mum and dad's favourite. He was like the golden child. Whatever he did, it was fine. He never got told off anything. Like he was a golden child, and it devastated all of us. It really knocked us back, and it affected us as a family as well. Blame each other, blame yourselves. What could you have done? What more could we have done? Why didn't we see it coming? That sort of stuff, and it can actually tear families apart. Start blaming each other.
Mm-hmm.
You get each other's throats. It's just not. Yeah, it's just a horrible time.
I suppose. Did you know that he was depressed then? But I guess you never think it'd come to that. I suppose is where you land on.
So we knew he was depressed. It kind of started for about 4 or 5 months, 6 months potentially. And you could see there was a massive change in his demeanour. I mean, he was a slim lad anyway, but he'd lost a lot of weight. Stopped kind of taking care of his appearance when, like I said, he was the smartest one out of all of us, and he really looked after himself. And we could see it gradually. His health was declining. Him and as a person, you'd speak to him and you could just see there was the spark in his eyes wasn't there anymore. You'd have a conversation with him and you could see that it was going in, but he just wasn't responding, or he'd just yes or no, short answers. And it was a very, very difficult time for myself, my family, parents, to see someone, like I say, who was the life and soul of the party, go completely the opposite way. Not wanting to go out, just locked himself in his room. Only really came out to eat and drink food, and that was it really.
I mean, I won't in any way pretend to be able to draw parallels with that experience, but I do know, having encountered depression, that one of the really pernicious things about it is that you want to be left alone.
Yeah.
You don't want the help. You want people to leave you be and not talk to you and not make things better, even though you know this isn't right.
And I think we saw that with him. We'd have conversations with him on an evening and try and talk him out of the way he was. And he got it, he understood it, but then he'd sleep on it. And then the next day it'd be completely different. It's like the demons inside just said, no, you don't need to do that. And it's difficult because you could see him, if he was acting normally, he'd want the help. But at that point, he wasn't taking on anything that anyone was saying. We tried to get help with doctors, therapists, etc. But because he was an adult, they just kept saying we need his consent, and he was just not consenting to anything.
A few years on, are you any closer to understanding it?
No, and this is another thing. Some people leave notes. He didn't leave anything. So there's a lot of questions as to kind of why he did it. We all kind of blame ourselves, and a lot of people try to say that, look, you did everything you could, but deep down we always think we could do more, and that's just natural. We think it may have been a few things, but again, it's nothing that couldn't have been sorted. He just spoke, and this is what and leading to Andy's Man's Club. I mean, I think if he'd have known about it, or if he had the chance to go there, it could have been something that was just very, very easily resolved. It's what they say is a problem shared is a problem halved. I just think that if he did speak to somebody, or if he had the right level of guidance at the time where he was willing to listen and was still not deep down in depression, I mean, it could have had a different outcome.
Yeah, I mean, having been to Andy's Man Club and knowing that there are other people within the walk group as well, because we've got a big WhatsApp group with all of us in that's been persisting now for sort of 3 years, which is a great little social club. That there are people who've used Andy's Man Club and have been there, and for the first couple of weeks just couldn't say anything.
Yeah,
and there's no pressure on you to do so if you do happen to attend an Andy's Man Club session. But it's amazing how, like, just being in that environment, like you said, that supportive environment, can maybe just chip away at that edifice a little bit. Yeah, and it's such a shame that he didn't have the sort of the ability to put himself in that environment, because it feels like it's such a huge step to ask for help, to acknowledge you even need help.
It's very, very difficult, and I think even just even if you just go there just to listen and listen to other people's problems, you don't have to necessarily say anything. But it can sometimes just put your problems into perspective. You might think, well, actually, he's got a lot more problems than I have, and it does help. But yeah, I just wish that he did have the chance. Well, if he did have the chance, that, like I said, it might have been a different outcome.
So you obviously got the outcome that you got. That can't be changed, but you're going to spend a lot of time. I suppose this is the bargaining stage of grief, isn't it? If only.
Yeah, if only that. Yeah, a lot of if onlys.
So are you able to move past those, or have you found those bits of bargaining? Have they lessened slightly over time, and you move towards, if not acceptance, perhaps a little bit more peace?
Yeah, look, over time, wounds do heal. Obviously, there's not a day that goes by that we don't think of him or we don't remember him. I mean, I've still got his picture as my screensaver, as my WhatsApp picture. I mean, for me, he'll always still be here. My daughter that we were talking about, 2.5 years old, her middle name's Taryn, so she's named after him. And we see similarities in her that we had with my brother. So he's never going to kind of leave us. But yeah, the way I think of it is that he was obviously in such pain, and the fact that he's no longer in pain is some sort of kind of solace to us. And yeah, we have not learned to accept it, but we're, a bit more at peace now than we were. Well, I was this time 3 years ago when it was fresh and when it happened.
How do you begin to deal with that as a family then? Because it's the cruelest side of this is that life just carries on around you, I suppose.
Yeah.
And your world has been turned upside down. It's collapsed. It's, I suppose, like in the films when you see the world closing in. I
think that was one of the hardest things to get my head around was, I think when it first happened, within the first couple of days, I needed to go for a walk. I needed to get some cash out, I think. So I just walked to the Halifax, and it was just watching people go about their daily lives as if nothing had happened, whereas my life had just come crushing down. And that was the most difficult thing that I just could not comprehend. How were these people going about their normal day-to-day, going shopping, talking, laughing, when we've had this massive thing happen to us? And that was difficult. Very, very difficult.
I mean, I never realised, I knew about your brother, obviously. I didn't realise it was so soon before the walk. I didn't realise it was only 7 months. I think I had it in my head it was about 18 months or something.
No, it was in September, on the September the 11th, ironically a day after World Suicide Prevention Day, that it actually happened. And yeah, so I think the walk was 28th of May. Something like that.
No, we finished on the 29th because that was my birthday.
Finished on the 29th.
Yeah, so we started, it was a few days before that. Yeah.
So it was, 7. And like I said, I think because it was, and that was the reason I joined, and that's the reason I actually went to his office and said straight away, yes. I think I emailed Michael within 10 minutes, said, yes, I'm up for it. I support Newcastle. Is that going to be an issue?
Yes.
I'm not a Leeds United fan, but can I still take part? And that was my aim, and thankfully I got through it.
Yeah, you did. And I say we on the end of that, the closeout of that final walk, we met at the Dragon pub. Is it Dragon Hotel? Pub?
Yeah.
Pub, whatever it is. It's on Whitehall Road anyway.
It's a pub. It's a common match day pub.
I was going to say, I drive past it all the time, but I've never noticed if it's a hotel or an inn.
I think it's Dragon Hotel.
It's the Dragon, isn't it?
Yeah.
Anyway, we met at the Dragon because in the same way, people will walk at different speeds, but we all set off together on that first day, and we wanted to make sure that we all finished together. And the finish line being just popping through Lowfields Tunnel.
Exactly.
And out the other side to the East Stand. And so everybody was arriving in dribs and drabs. I remember on that final day, and was it a gorgeous sunny day? I seem to recall. Maybe not.
It felt it.
Yeah, it did when you've walked that far. Yeah, everyone having a beer in the garden and a few songs and all that, and then everybody walked down through the Ginnell, down Lowfields Road, and we asked you. I remember saying like it felt symbolically like it was the right thing to do was to have you lead us in like the lead car in the in the Formula One kind of thing. Now you need to go front and center for this because it's so symbolically huge as an achievement. And I can remember walking a few feet behind you, and I think everybody, to a man, woman, and child, put the sunglasses on, and everybody's eyes were just filling up.
There was not a lot of talking at that point. No. It was a lot of
Yeah, I think we went from kind of, sort of kind of, come on there, like, down the Ginnell, coming out, and they got to the top of the low fields and it just suddenly went quiet, didn't it?
Yeah.
I remember that actually. You pulled me to the side just as we were getting in, as we'd like you to lead us in, and I think I just went at that point as well. It was funny actually. I think one of the walkers, when I started walking, we led everyone in. I think he got a bit annoyed. He was like, "Oh, why is he leading us in? He supports Newcastle or whatever." Got a bit annoyed, but then as we got in, he just said, "Oh, sorry, mate. They've just told me why you led us." He's like, I'm so sorry, and just give me a massive hug. And that was quite funny because I could hear him like, "Why is he leading us in? He doesn't even support Leeds. He's a Newcastle fan."
It's great in the football tribalism.
Yeah, that was it. But then, give me a massive hug, and I just remember it was just emotions that poured through everyone, and then.
Your family were waiting there.
Yeah. Family was there as soon as I saw them. Then.
Anybody who knows Lowfields Road, it's a long straight trek, so we could see everybody off in the distance, and they all started applauding. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, I mean, for me that was just the best moment because you know what you've done and how far you've walked, and then you see your family there. It was amazing, and it was kind of it was just like, well, yeah, you've completed it. We've done it. Because like I said, at that point. I wasn't my fittest. I was nearly 100 kilograms, just in a bad way. And I remember my brother actually saying, "There's no way that you'll be able to do it," and that kind of gave me headed.
I must admit, I saw you on day one, and I thought, I'm not sure he's going to be able to do this.
Well, that's it.
You were really like. Remember, you were really swinging your left leg around when you were walking.
It. That was what I was going to say because I've got dodgy hips, so at some point I am going to need hip replacements. And I remember after the first day, I think
potentially in about a week's time.
Potentially in a week's time. I think that's going to be a lot quicker than originally thought. And I remember a few of the lads just said, "We saw you walking on day one. He's not going to make it. He's not going to last." But it was just sheer willpower at that point. It was just determination, head down, headphones in. He said, "Bite the gum shield and just do it."
It's amazing how the endorphins kick in as well, and you stop feeling the pain. I remember,
but you're like a metronome. You just kept going.
I say the endorphins on that final day. I think I had about 3 pints of Guinness and some codeine for lunch.
That's what I had. Yeah, well. That did work.
That does help.
Yeah, and suddenly because I'd stupidly I'd worn boots rather than like trainers or trail runners. Because there was a bit of it that was over high ground, so I'll just take my boots. That'll be fine. You forget how much your feet swell. Your feet like double in size.
Well, that was it. I think the first walk, we were so unprepared. I think everyone was.
Yeah.
It was. I mean, I had a month of training, and if that, and I remember stupidly in some of the practice walks, I'd just go out in my normal trainers and try to walk 10 miles and just come back with blisters, and it was. But as we get into the second and third one, I think everyone's clued, especially in the WhatsApp group. Everyone is clued on.
Yeah.
A couple of pairs of trainers, getting sized up, socks, everything.
Everyone knows what's coming, don't they?
Yeah.
I think.
Well, apart from the extra day, we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, because it's been a 4-day event prior to this, isn't it? And this is a 5-dayer.
Could have done it in 4 days, but
I mean, it's a brave man, isn't it?
Actually, couldn't because of the space in the hotels. Very difficult to organise.
It is, yeah. So like those first couple of years, we had stress fractures, twisted ankles. You had your bloody hip replacement.
Yeah.
I ended up with infected blisters, which I then repeated on year 2, which was quite good. That ruled me out of the final day, which you've never let me forget about.
But you're doing it this time at least.
Well, I'm not because I've twisted my ankle twice. So I've got an appointment with the NHS biomechanics team in July.
Wow.
I want them to return me like RoboCop with a gun in my leg.
That'll be decent, that, yeah.
That's
get some blades and a gun in your leg.
Absolutely. Just get rid of these. They're useless down there. So it's Monday the 9th of June, Newcastle to Leeds, 121 miles. First day is Newcastle to Durham, 20 miles. You said we were chatting in the office before this, and you said you're almost going to treat this like a warm-up day.
Yeah, so the first day.
It's a general 20 mile hike.
With it being, it's like what Michael said, it's an extra day, so it's 5 days. So mentally I'm thinking, right, I've done 4 days before, but it's this 5th day that's kind of throwing me. But with the first day only being 20 miles or 21 and a half miles, because I know there's potentially 2 routes.
Depends if you want to go the scenic route.
The scenic route. So I'm going to class that as a practice walk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then day 2 is day 1 for me.
And then day 3 is 28 miles, but...
Let's not get onto that. Day 1, the 20 miles is straight basically down Durham Road from Newcastle to Durham, which is not the prettiest of things. It's just a lot of pavement and
Durham itself is really nice, but we're not staying in Durham. No. Oh no, because then otherwise it makes the next day too long. So we're staying at Durham Services, which is
Bowburn, isn't it?
Bowburn, which is a glamorous looking location.
And we're going to Bowburn Social Club.
Yeah,
we've got that
decent.
booked out for Monday night, which will be exciting.
Yep.
And just you'll be delighted at the bar prices, though.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I'm hoping for sub £3.
Yeah. Durham to Scotch Corner is day 2, 25 miles.
Another services, nice.
Another service station. And as like you said, this is the logistical problem of walking from Newcastle to Leeds, is that there's not a right lot in between
No,
through North Yorkshire.
not for 75 people.
No. So day 3 is 28 miles. This one right in the middle, Scotch Corner to Thirsk, knocking the back out of North Yorkshire.
Yeah, I'm worried about day 3.
Why?
I've got to be honest. 28 miles
Yeah.
off the back of the day before, and then with another day to come. It's just the 3 of the middle days I'm worried about. The first and the last will be fine.
What about you, Nav?
Yeah, it's the first and last seem fine. There's 28 miles. We did. Was the first walk first day 27?
It was 27
Yeah.
then 27. Yeah.
It kind of, but yeah, it's always, the other ones, it's always gone down a bit as the days have gone on.
You've tried to taper it because obviously it gets harder
Whereas
to do, doesn't it?
This peaks in the middle.
Yeah.
It's the last couple of miles that are the worst.
Yeah. I remember, that. So the last day on the first walk was like 18 miles, wasn't it? And but that's because I'd done it in the boots. My feet had swollen and my toes were tucking under, which is why they ended up absolutely macerated and ruined. But it was the codeine in Guinness. I remember that took the pain away. But 18 miles on that final day felt like nothing compared to doing 27 a couple of days before. That was hideous, and it was up a big hill. If you've ever been near Oldham, and you can cut off the corner of the ring road of Manchester, can't you, by going through Oldham to get to like Manchester Airport or whatever, you'll know there's a big road that just runs like a big A road. And I remember walking up there, hobbling up there with lorries thundering past me. You know, when a lorry goes past you, but you get it was a hot waft of dust. And I was like, I've had enough of this now. Why have you done this to me, Normanton?
Soz.
And then there was the pub, of course, that night.
Yes,
in Oldham.
The mini disc pub, the Rifle Range. Give it a plug. Yeah. I imagine the guy's still there DJing with his mini discs. If you want to see a nice throwback, but yeah, hopefully Bowburn will be pretty similar.
Yeah. So day 4, back to this one. Yeah, day 4, Thirsk to Harrogate, 26 miles, just a mere marathon after 28. That's all. And then the final day, Harrogate to Leeds, is 22. But the last day, I think it tends to have a bit of a carnival feel.
Yeah, and it's the familiarity as well of ones, because we're going, of course, as we have done in the previous years, via the Gary Speed mural, which is up in Bramley. So that's, once you kind of get to there, you're like, this is right at the end now, and you know you've done it. But I think certainly by the time you get to lunch on the last day, you know you've done it. You're like,
a big highlight from the mural is walking past the Aldi in Bramley as well.
Oh, of course.
On your way back to the to Ellen Road,
do the full tour. But yeah, there's that bit as well when you come into the ground that way, where you've got the football pitches along to your left
at Wortley,
and you can sort of see the ground over the hill, and you're just like, I can see it. Destinations in sight,
like a big beacon.
And imagine how big it's going to be in a few years. That's what I'm going to be thinking this time. That the East Stand soon will be like the little stand.
Yeah. So we'll be finishing at Ellen Road sometime on Friday afternoon.
It'd be about 5 o'clock, I think, when we get to Ellen Road.
Steady away. And thank you to Leeds United as well, who have put on a coach to get everybody up to St James's Park on Monday morning, and they're opening up the Norman Hunter Suite for us to arrive back at on the Friday. Cash bar.
Come on, Leeds United.
Come on, you can afford it. You're in the Premier League now.
Come on,
put a couple of quid behind the bar. We can afford it. So thank you to Levi's. Thanks to you as well, Nav, for coming in and telling us the story of what's happened to you. And this is why we're doing it. That needs to be said. We need to reiterate, this is why we're doing it, to destigmatize, just to bring this conversation into normal circles, and just say to you, talk to people. And Andy's Man Club's slogan is, it's okay to talk, and it's very, very true. Yeah. It's the most important thing you can probably do.
It definitely is, yeah. Because like I said, there's still a lot of stigma. And yeah, we just need to speak to each other and air our problems, and a lot of the times they're not as big as we actually think that they are. But yeah, Andy's Man's Club, brilliant job that they're doing, and we just need to promote them and support them as best we can. Yeah,
if you fancy doing that, GarySpeedWalk.com, you can donate there. So thank you to Levi's. Yeah, thank you to Print Ink, who do our T-shirts as well. The Tuk Tuk Club, Bruce and the gang in Northern Thailand, who have sponsored this, as well as Brudenell Social Club, Kirkstall Brewery, mentioned Leeds United. Thank you to Dan Tough as well, the best sock people in the world, I would say. So Andy, who's the UK rep, caught wind of what we were doing and is sending free socks for everybody
Nice.
this week, which is great. They're giving every walker a free pair of premium walking socks. Nice. And I know you're a Newcastle fan, Nav, but we've got to give you one of these. Everyone's getting one of these from Buff as well. Buff, it's multifunctional neckwear, Michael, no less. So you can keep your neck warm, dry.
Your gel's fully over your face earlier.
Yeah, you can use it as a sweatband, and we've got quite a few baldmen.
Protect your bald head.
We've got the little baldman on the walk, so you can use it as a sun hat. It's UP. Is it UP?
50 or something? I saw it on there somewhere.
Yeah, it's sun protection anyway. So we've got a load of those. One for everybody who's going to be there.
I might wear it as a skirt at Bowen Social Club. Wait and see.
Look, absolutely great. Who else? Osprey have donated us a load of backpacks to move stuff around. Life Straw as well have given us a bunch of water bottles. And I think that's everybody. We haven't forgotten everybody to say thank you to.
If anyone wants to send us anything else for free, I mean,
yeah,
I'm always willing.
Aside from that, if you want to donate, GarySpeedWalk.com. If you can spare a couple of quid, we'd really appreciate it.
Also, on Andy's Man Club, in fact, for the way they're funded and everything, the vast majority of people who facilitate the sessions and things are volunteers as well. So they do have a few full-time employees, but it's a real grassroots kind of organisation and stuff. There's not like a chief exec on 800 grand a year or anything, as there are at some charities. It's kind of everyone who's involved in it is in it for the passion. Yeah,
and so many of the people who have attended sessions end up becoming the facilitators at Andy's Man Club, which goes to show, I think, the extent of the great work that they do. So GarySpeedWalk.com. If you can chip in a few quid, we'll obviously be covering it all on socials, as is the way of the world these days. We'll be getting loads of video,
foot pics,
and photo.
If that's your thing.
Some of the foot pics in that group, absolutely hideous, isn't it?
I think year 2 did let us down a bit on the foot pics. The worst ones were year 1. It was some absolute horror shows, like full kind of A&E stuff.
Yeah, it was like a World War I field hospital album, wasn't it? If such a thing.
Yeah. Maybe day 5. Maybe that's when the good stuff happens.
Yeah, and you could make a lot of money on niche websites with this sort of stuff, I suppose.
Not for me, thanks. It'd be challenging.
Yeah, GarySpeedWalk.com as a final shout for that, and we will keep you updated on socials and on the website as well. We'll tell the story of the walk and hopefully get as many people from point A back to point B as possible, and raise some money for Andy's Man Club. 150 grand we've done so far from the 2 walks. If we can get that higher, get that north of 200 grand, that'd be absolutely amazing. So thank you, Nav. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Coming in.
Yeah, thank you.
I think we appreciate as well that you've not really spoken about this particularly on the podcast before.
One of the first times I've actually opened up about this, but I think that thanks for having me.
And we do truly appreciate it. And I think it adds real weight and gravitas to what we're doing, because we dick about on here plenty, don't we, on this show? But we want to do something good with it, and hopefully we can do with this. So thank you, and we will speak to you soon.
Thanks for having us.
The Square Ball Podcast.